about to tell you is something that happened when I was very young, around 14 maybe. The only people who know about it are those closest to me. But after all these years, I don't mind sharing it anymore. It was, without a doubt, one of the most horrifying things that could happen to anyone, especially a kid. It happened during the winter, and the cold weather plays a big role in this story. I grew up in a small town, the kind where everyone knew each other, where every person had their unspoken title. Mark was the dentist, John was the doctor, Tim owned the grocery store. It was a tight-knit community where not much ever happened. As for me, I was just a kid trying to figure life out. I didn't know what I wanted to do in the future, but I did know one thing. I didn't want to be stuck there forever. I didn't hate it. It felt safe and familiar, but I craved something more exciting. That winter, a brutal snowstorm hit our town. Heavy snowfall wasn't unusual, but this time, the cold was relentless. The kind of cold that freezes your breath mid-air, turns your snot solid. It must have been a Friday because I remember sitting in class, anxiously waiting for the final bell to ring. As soon as it did, I grabbed my stuff and bolted, ready to start my weekend. I met up with my best friend Albert, like I always did. We walked home together every day, but that day, he told me his mom was picking him up because of the weather. That meant I was walking home alone. We made plans to hang out over the weekend, then went our separate ways. I bundled up as best as I could and stepped outside. That's when I noticed it. A large white van sat parked near the school. One of those plain utility vans, the kind that movies always use for kidnappings. I even joked to myself about it. I shrugged it off and started walking. My house wasn't far, maybe a 15-minute walk if I hurried. But with deep snow and my oversized, hand-me-down snow boots, every step felt like a struggle. As I made my way down the street, I saw a man standing in the distance. Nothing strange, I thought. Not yet. At the same time, I felt an urge to look back. The white van was behind me. A chill ran down my spine that had nothing to do with the cold. I kept walking, trying to shake off the unease. But the man ahead of me was getting closer. He was big, really big, and he was wearing a ski mask. Normally that wouldn't be weird in freezing weather, but combined with the van right behind me, something wasn't right. I looked back again. The van had crept even closer. My heart started pounding. A voice in my head screamed, "Something is wrong. Run." And then the man charged at me. I panicked. I turned to run the other way, but the van had pulled up right behind me. I tried to sprint through the deep snow, but my heavy boots slowed me down. The deep snow making it impossible to run, I fell flat on my face. Before I could push myself up, two strong hands grabbed me, pinning me down before yanking me off the ground. I screamed, I thrashed, kicked, did everything I could to break free, but the man was too strong. My breath came in short, sharp gasps, the freezing air burning my throat. Then, through the panic, I heard something. A man's voice, shouting from the distance, "Hey! Hey! What the hell are you doing?" The man carrying me was hauling me toward the van. I twisted, kicked wildly, and by some miracle, I landed a solid kick to his nose. I looked up. A man was rushing toward us from his house. I kicked again, another hard hit. The masked man dropped me. From the van, someone shouted, "Leave him! Let's go! Let's go!" The man sprinted toward the van. Within seconds, it sped away down the road. By the time the man who had saved me reached me, my chest was heaving, and my body felt frozen stiff. My heart felt like it was about to rip through my ribs. I had never run so hard in my life. I didn't know this man, but at that moment, I hugged him. I realized how strange that must seem. Hugging a complete stranger after nearly being kidnapped. but I was just so grateful. He felt safe. He felt trustworthy. He told me his name and explained that he was working on a house nearby when he heard my screams. He immediately called my parents and the police. A report was made, but like most cases like this, it never got resolved. Since the man who grabbed me was wearing a mask, I had no description to give, making it nearly impossible for the police to find him. As for the van, apparently, those white utility vans were extremely common in the area, so there were no real leads. But one thing I learned from that horrifying experience, no matter where you live, whether it's a quiet small town or a big city, always be aware of your surroundings. You never know who's watching. This all happened when I moved out of my parents' house. I felt like an adult. I was starting college, had gotten a job, and was finally making my own money. But pretty soon, I found out that being an adult comes with adult problems. I was on my way to a new state to start college and become a nurse. I felt excited. New state, new city, new people, countless possibilities. What more could a girl want, right? I wasn't going far. The drive was about 2 hours away. That was perfect, because I could simply drive back home if I ever got homesick. Plus, all my friends still in town could visit me, and I could visit them without much hassle. When I finally arrived, I settled into my new apartment, relaxed for a bit. Later that night, I grabbed a cup of tea and headed outside to sit on the front porch. It wasn't too late, maybe around 6 p.m. The apartment complex had 4 units. As I sat there contemplating life, I noticed a guy walking toward me. I wasn't sure where he came from, but he seemed to be around my age, so I didn't think much of it. He approached and introduced himself, saying his name and that he lived in Unit 4. At the time, I ate up his story. He wasn't too bad looking. But looking back, I should have noticed the red flag. I'd met all my neighbors in the building, and he wasn't one of them. Still, back then, I was just happy to meet someone new. He asked a lot of questions for a first-time meeting. Where I was from, if I had family in the area, where I went to school, where I worked, all the things you'd ask on a date. It felt pushy, but I didn't realize it at the time. My friendly personality made me overshare, a gift and a curse. He invited me to a party his friends were throwing, a bunch of local frat boys. It seemed like a perfect opportunity to meet people, so I agreed. At around 10 p.m., he picked me up and we drove to the party. It was your typical frat house scene. Loud music, wild boys, and lots to drink. I mingled and tried to have a good time. I'm not much of a party girl, but I gave it a shot. At one point, the guy said he had something to do and would be back in a minute. I thought it was strange, but shrugged it off. Whatever. I'll make my own fun, I told myself. I met a few girls, which was great. I needed friends badly, and even a few guys. Later, I reunited with my date. We danced and drank. But eventually, I told him I'd had enough and asked to go home. He agreed. I remember feeling wobbly and lightheaded. I'd had plenty of drinks before, but this felt different, not like being drunk. I brushed it off, thinking I'd sleep it off. We got into his car, but he just sat there, staring at me silently. When I asked to leave, he kept staring, waiting for something. The wobbliness worsened. My vision blurred, and I could barely speak. I told him, I'm not that type of girl. If you're waiting for action, it's not happening. Still, he said nothing. Annoyed and creeped out, I opened the door and said I'd walk home. He jumped out, furious, and yelled, "Get back in." I refused and started walking. He grabbed my wrist, yanking me toward the car. I fought back, but felt terrifyingly weak, like I'd pass out. That's when I realized he'd drugged me. I screamed, my voice raw, as he tried to drag me into the car. Just then, a group of frat boys walked out and shouted, "What's going on?" The guy snapped, "Mind your own damn business. She's my problem." I screamed, "He drugged me. Please help." They rushed over, pulled him off me, and a scuffle broke out. He escaped to his car and sped off. The boys brought me inside, called the police, and stayed with me. I called my parents, shaking, and explained everything. The police arrived, and I gave them his description, his car, and the fake address he'd given. Turns out, he didn't live in Unit 4, and I wasn't the first. Another girl had reported him, though he'd failed to harm her too. Later, I got a follow-up. They'd arrested him. While relieved, I couldn't shake the dread of knowing how common this horror is. As for the boys who helped me, they became some of my closest friends. Even years later, we still talk. I guess something good came out of that nightmare after all.